There's a part-time position open if anyone's interested. She sent it to all of us from last year. She said, if anyone's interested, here's your contact person. The job that I have right now, a former UK student was there, and then she graduated and left. And so our professor let us know. They said, hey, Jess is leaving. Anyone wants this job, take it. Like, go apply. And then I'm also in the process of applying for actual big girl jobs. And I've heard of like 5 in the past 2 weeks just from my cooperating teachers and from another student who's student teaching. So really getting those connections, talking to the people in your field, making that good impression on your professors, even if you don't like their class, if there's someone who can help you, really make sure that you are putting your best foot forward, because they will help you.
Okay, I'm gonna skip question 2. So we're moving on to question 3. How did you go about asking for, say, letters of recommendation or asking someone to be a reference on an application? Joy?
So most of what I've been doing, especially because like classes are all online now, and so it's like most of communication, I've been emailing people. So I have emailed Emily for a letter of recommendation for one of my applications. And then I've also emailed another one of my professors from freshman year. And then in terms of references, I've mostly done that through email as well, just because like it's a little easier to convey information that way, especially if they want to know like information about what position you're applying for, so that they can be more informed about what to write or say about you. So I would recommend email, but yeah, like Sarah was saying, it's really, really important to just build those connections with supervisors and professors, and really just like keeping in touch with them too.
Yeah, to add to that, again, email is the best way to communicate right now. And honestly, probably in the future too, just because adults check their email like 4 times a day. I've learned that as I've become an adult, I check my email all the time now. But I've been fortunate to have some really great supervisors also. And at the end of my like internship, they've offered to like be a reference and write letters of rec without me having to ask them up front. But I always like email again, follow up, and then send the job description like Joy was saying. So that way they know what to kind of touch on. You'll learn a lot of when you're like doing your resume and your cover letter, it's important to use words that are used in the job description. So that way they like know. And so it helps if your references or your people who are writing your letters of rec also have that job description, so they can use those same words to speak to your experience.
Yeah, going off of all that, also make sure that you're asking relevant people if you can. In the beginning, you may not always be able to. Did we just? Oh, she just went down there. Thought we just lost Emma. She's down there. So, like, I worked at Kroger when I was in high school, but now that I'm going to work with students, I'm gonna ask someone who's seen me work with students rather than my boss at Kroger. So, if you can, ask someone more relevant to that specific job description, and you can change it if you're going in 2 different directions that you might want to explore. You can put down different references. It doesn't always have to be the same. And yeah, make sure it's people who you know, people who have seen you work or seen you with some level of responsibility and know, you know, this person's a hard worker. They can do what this job description asks. They're a good choice. Someone who will vouch for you.
So to add to that, as someone who writes letters of recommendation all the time, I love doing it. So also finding someone who enjoys to write letters of recommendation and who's offered and that sort of thing is really important. and giving them enough time to write a letter. Thankfully, Joy asked me about a month ago to write a letter, and I finally got it to her yesterday because adults and people in professional positions are very busy. And so giving them that time and providing all the information up front is extremely helpful. Because that also gives that person a little bit of time to make sure that they're crafting it in a way that will be very supportive and like your cheerleader, like that you want the letter to be good. So don't ask them like 2 days before it's due, be like, hey, can you write me a letter? And then you're like panicked. Unless, now I'll go to the Emma example, unless that person has already written a letter for you and they've said in the past that they are willing to write you another one, they've saved it. I promise you, they've saved it in a folder that's called letters of recommendation. So they can just go in, change a few things, update the new job description to make sure that it works for that position, and they can get that one to you quicker. I mean, give them like a week, but for me, I don't mind because I have it ready and I can just whip out a new one because I have it saved. And your instructors will have it saved, your supervisors will have it saved, or you can even provide it back to them. Hey, this is what you wrote. Are you able to update it for this extra job? Because we also know that you're not applying to just one job. There's going to be multiple different areas that you're trying to reach out to so that you get that one job. And there's lots of different opportunities for you to choose from. And so we know that you're not just putting all your eggs in one basket. So we're willing to, well, I am willing to have different letters to different people, because you also don't want the letter to be very generic. You want it to be specific. You want it to say to the Governor's School for the Arts or to the Cincinnati Art Museum. You want them to realize that the person that is writing you a letter understands the job that you're applying for and is knowledgeable about what you're applying for. So that's my 2 cents. Now that Jen has joined us, if you, Jen, wanted to give a brief overview of who you are and some of the positions you've held, and then we'll continue with the next question.
Hi guys, my name is Genesis, but people call me Jen. Sorry that I am late. I had something to do for the upcoming show that you guys should be coming to see, the dress rehearsal. Yes, I think you should be, because I just talked to Susie. That's why I was taking so long.
Better.
Yeah, so hopefully you guys get to come and see it, but sorry that I am late. But I am a double major in integrated strategic communication and dance, and I am currently one of the LLP student support positions. I don't really know how we phrase that, but so I've been working with the LLP this year as my internship, and it has been a really awesome experience. I've basically just been making sure everyone is in the know, whether it's you guys as the mentees, your families, or other supporters. So I've really just been trying to get the word out about this program because it's an amazing program. I've been in the program for 4 years, so a lot of my job is just trying to tell people about the program and all of the amazing things that we do. But I don't know if there's anything else I'm supposed to share.
Any other internships or positions you've held during your undergraduate studies?
Actually, this is my first internship, but I've had different positions within marketing and communications throughout campus. So that's like what I have on my resume right now, just because with dance and ISC, there's just a lot going on. And so I tried to combine like what I want to do with the arts. So I was the marketing chair for Black Voices Gospel Choir for a little while. And then I also did a lot of the social media and kind of serving as a creative director for Kentucky Karana, as I was co-captain and just creating our concepts and stuff like that. What else have I done?
And you were peer mentor for 2 years.
Yes, I also was a peer mentor for 2 years.
Okay.
That was awesome.
Yeah. So, all right, let's keep going. Yeah. Okay, so what do you all feel is the best thing that has come out of an internship or an undergraduate job opportunity that you've had or are currently in right now?
Are we going in order again?
Yeah, sorry, Joy, you're first.
No, sorry, I should expect this by now. I think probably experience. I don't know, experience and like connections are tied for my top two. The peer mentor position has been really, really valuable for me, especially because it's so relevant to arts administration. And it's also like a lot of what we do, like event planning is good preparation for possible internships that I'll have in the future. Like one of the things that I applied for this summer is a special events internship at the Cincinnati Art Museum. So that's very like closely connected to each other. But then with like connections, like Emily is just super helpful in providing like guidance and advice, and also just a really good like writer for a letter of recommendations. So yeah.
Yeah, experience has been obviously like one of the greatest takeaways from all of this. Joy said connections. I'm going to expand on that a little bit too, because I feel like the relationships that I've gained have been probably the most beneficial, especially right now as we are looking for like full-time employment, which is a little bit difficult right now. But so I've been emailing a lot of my past supervisors and other connections that I have in the Louisville arts community. And while there aren't positions open right now, I've gotten like some pretty genuine notes back from them, and they like all are sympathizing with all of us who are looking for employment right now. And they were like, we promise we'll keep you in the loop. Like, we're going to need you eventually. So the next step for me is just going to be making sure that we keep in contact with them so that way they don't forget that I need a job. But again, it's all about who you know, networking, reaching out to and forming relationships and maintaining relationships with the people in your field of work. This is something that like I was told over and over and over again as a freshman and sophomore, and I don't really think I started valuing the importance of it until I got my GSA internship last year, and throughout this whole past year, really realizing that it's about who you know. So that's probably been one of the most valuable things that I've gotten from my internship and job experience.
So I don't want to say experience again, but so I guess kind of opportunity when you come out of college, especially like during COVID, there are so many people who lost their jobs. And so now we're worried that like we won't get jobs because it's like the people who have been in this field forever like need to get jobs now. So I think that having this position and internships has given us the opportunity to know what it's like to be in a position in a like caring environment, because we've known Emily for like the past 3 years. 3 years. So it's just, I say this all the time, but it's like just learning like a work environment, how your boss should treat you, and how meetings go, like taking notes during meetings, and all things that if I didn't have this if I didn't have this experience, I would just be like thrown into a meeting, like just looking around. So it's really awesome to just like have the opportunity to do things that you know you want to do in the future, but you don't have to wait for it to happen. If that made sense.
Yeah, and kind of diving a little bit deeper into like a part of the experience is all the resources that can come with that. So like before I was a peer mentor, I had never, had to fill out a little budget sheet before. I had never really had to meet strict deadlines on anything like that. And then at my last placement at my elementary school that I was working with, my teacher was awesome. She sent me so many things, including her resume that she got from right out of college, and like her sister, she taught classes on how to make really good resumes. So her resume is apparently very, very good. So it's exactly what I modeled mine on. So having that resource is super helpful. Having, I don't know, just things specific to your field that you've learned more about can be really helpful and can be uniquely found in internships and undergrad jobs. And then also, to be cheesy, you know, good friends come out of internships and jobs sometimes.
Awesome. Okay, so what is one final piece of advice? I mean, we've given a lot of advice, which is great. I'm loving this. A final piece of advice that you would give to a student looking for an internship opportunity, say for this summer or into the fall?
I think something really important that I am also still working on is learning to advocate for yourself, both in looking for internships and while you're working in an internship. So like with applications, you'll need references or letters of recommendation. So don't be shy about reaching out to ask for those, especially if like, you know, you have a good relationship with a professor or supervisor. Like sometimes it might feel like you're bothering them, or like it's not fun to like ask people for things, but just remember that like you also need to look out for yourself. And then kind of going off of that, when you're in your internship, make sure that like you are learning from the experience, because that's what you're there for. So make sure that like if you're being assigned things that aren't relevant to what you have signed up for, or you haven't been like getting as much out of it as you would like to, then talk to your supervisor about it, and usually it'll go okay. Yeah.
I would say apply for as much as you can that's out there. Like, don't put all your eggs in one basket. And also, like, don't be afraid to, again, reach out to people if you don't see opportunities. And if it's an organization that you really want to work for, and you don't see anything on their website, don't be afraid to email somebody and see if they can keep you in the loop on future opportunities, because you never know what will come out of that. The worst they can say is, we don't have anything right now, sorry, like try again, which is totally fine, because that's how you learn to look for new opportunities. When you're in your internship or your job or whatever you're doing, I have found it really helpful to write down everything that I have done or have learned as I go, because now I'm at a point where I'm trying to put together like my portfolio for graduation, and I can't remember what I did at my internship 2 summers ago. So I can go back to the list and like pull skills from there for my resume and for like my list of experience and different documents and things like that. Stuff like, because when you're working in those situations, a lot gets thrown at you sometimes, and it can be hard to like remember exactly what you did and what you learned. So writing it down as you go is I've found to be really helpful.
I agree with her. Like me, you won't be like me being like, oh, what did I do?
Yeah.
I don't remember. But definitely want to reiterate what Joy and Emma said, but also add to that to not wait, like do it now. That way you know exactly what you want to do when you graduate. And also, don't be afraid to kind of let people know that you need them and what you need them for. There are so many people who create jobs for themselves, aka me and Emma. We wanted to come back to this program, and so we reached out and we were like, how can we make this happen? We still want to help this program, but we can't technically help this program, so what can we do? And we were able to work that out to where now people in the future will be able to be off campus and still be able to work for the program. So definitely, like Joy said, be an advocate for yourself and be like, this is what I want to do. And you never know, like it might be able to be possible.
Yeah, I think to end it up, because I was gonna say, put yourself out there, fight for yourself. But then I was like, well, all right, Joy just said that. Then I was gonna say, get started early, write down now. Then Emma said that. do something that makes you happy. Do something that you enjoy. If you go to an internship or if you read the description and it's just like sucking the life out of you, don't do that one. It's not worth it. That experience is not worth it if you're going to be miserable the whole time. You can and you will find something that makes you happy and is incredibly valuable to your life. So the right thing is going to come along.
I love that, Sarah. That was a great way to end
That
it.
was really good, Sarah. It made me think, don't discount your like work experience at like Starbucks or at Dance Biz, or like I'm a dance teacher. You learn, like, just because you're not at an internship doesn't mean you're gaining valuable skills. So I've learned a lot this past year working in retail about how to communicate with people, how to do some of the money stuff that I haven't had to do in the past, things like that. So yeah, don't discount that experience because that's also valuable.
And going on with that, but I also have something else. Like my my resume does have my peer mentor job on it, and I don't know that like a lot of employers will look at that and be like, yeah, let's hire you for marketing because of that. But I can now create an entire, which I'm working on, creating an event planning because I'm on the PR path. So creating an event planning resume like from that job experience. So like you can use whatever job experience you have and create a great resume. Like no matter what you have done, employers just want to see that you have not been doing nothing. And then something that Sarah said made me think of this. I think this is a quote by Jim Carrey, but it's basically just saying like you can fail at something that you hate, so you might as well do something you love. I feel like in this COVID time where we're all like struggling, we're like, oh, we don't have a job, we need money, but like it's just like I think COVID has shown us that like nothing's gonna go according to plan anyway. So like don't just take whatever comes your way. Like take your time to make sure you're gonna be happy doing that, because you don't want to be hating your life and then like that just leads to bad things.
Jen, that is so true. I actually was waiting on this position that I'm in now, and I didn't hear back. They were taking forever. I was like, oh gosh, UK, they don't like me. And so I started looking at other places that I really didn't want to do, but I knew I was qualified, so I applied, and I was getting callbacks and I was getting interviews. And I was still hanging on to this LLP position. I was like, oh, I really want this. Why are they taking so long? And I even told people no, that I didn't want a job that I was offered because I was waiting on this, and it pays to wait. So I am a strong advocate for waiting for something that you're happy to do. So it's very important. So great job, you all. Do any of our students have any particular questions for our student panel you can think of right now? No? Okay, that's fine. So that concludes our art talk for tonight. Next month, we're going to have another student panel, which will include CFA students who may be living off campus and how they've navigated living off campus and being a music student and having to figure out their apartment and buying groceries and things like that. So are any of you all moving off campus next fall? Joy is, Sophia is, Gavin, are you going to be in the LLP again? Awesome.
Fill out the application still, but as of right.
Okay, make sure you do that. What's really great is then you'll be enrolled in our returner connected course that was created this past fall, and you can also use some of the experience that we will learn in that class for your resume. So that will also help in your future careers. So I'm excited for that. But yes, make sure, Sophia, you join in next month. And obviously Zach, super exciting. He will be a peer mentor next year. So he will definitely be in the residence hall. Well, wonderful. Thank you all so much for joining in. And if you have any questions, please email them to me and I can get them to our student panel. And I think that is it. So thanks for joining us.